right, what's up, everybody? My name is Camryn Joi, as you already know, and this is the Check-In Podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest. For those of you guys who are new and tuning into this episode or this podcast for the first ever time, the Check-In Podcast is a podcast geared towards young adults and teens. I started it back in 2020 with my brother, and it was just a podcast where we could talk to each other and people of like-minded perspectives and ages about everything that's going on in life, from our trials, from our triumphs, all the way to everything in between. This is a safe space for those that I mentioned. So if you are not a teen or a young adult and you do not provide a safe space for them, this is not the place for you. However, nonetheless, I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. As you guys heard before, this season is all about self-care. In the spirit of self-care, we will be talking about two of the 5 pillars of self-care today, which are nutrition and exercise. And today I have my guest, Abby, with me.
Hi.
Hey, Abby. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are here to talk about nutrition and exercise?
Yeah. So my name is Abby. I am a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. I've been training for a little over 5 years now, and I've been a nutrition coach for about 2 years. I really just understand the importance of health and wellness and exercise and nutrition, which is what led me to become a trainer and a nutrition coach. So that's kind of what brought me here on this podcast to shed some light on my experiences and my educational background and yeah.
Well, Abby, it's so good to have you. If you have watched the show before, one thing that we always do with all of our guests is we ask them to answer this one question. The one question is, I know that we're at the beginning of the week, but maybe you could summarize your last week or what you want this week to be. But in one word, can you describe your past week or what you want this week to be?
That's a really good question. I guess. Okay, so this week, I would like this week to be rejuvenating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you say rejuvenating?
Well, I'm about to go on vacation. It's holiday season. You know, I really want to feel, rejuvenated and revived going into the new year.
Mm-hmm.
So, just taking time for myself, taking time to rest, and spending time with loved ones going into the new year.
I feel the same way. Like, we're going into the new year, and then I'm also going into my new year because my birthday's on Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. So I think I resonate with that word too. I kind of have a habit of that, taking my guest words, but
yeah,
yeah,
that's okay. If it resonates, it resonates.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this season I'm doing something a little bit different, based on your expertise or the topic at hand. I'm doing some rapid fire questions to get the episode going.
All right.
So I have 11 rapid fire questions for you, and I want you to answer these questions with one word, if you can. One word or like one answer.
Okay.
So the first question is, New Year's resolutions or small monthly goals?
Small monthly goals.
Leg day or arm day?
Leg day.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
What's more important, nutrition or exercise?
Nutrition.
Should looks factor into your fitness journey?
No.
5 a.m. crew or 7 p.m. crew?
5 a.m.
Sparkling water or distilled water?
Distilled water.
Protein shake or protein bar?
Protein shake.
Holistic medicine or Western medicine?
Holistic medicine.
Are strict diets necessary to lose weight?
No.
8+ hours of sleep or 4-hour increments?
8+ hours of sleep.
Okay. Those are my rapid fire questions.
Okay, nice.
You're the first person that did them so smoothly, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. It was something new I was introducing, so I'm like, I don't know how quickly people are going to answer
this.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you said that you have basically around, in terms of like nutrition, as well as exercise, if I'm doing the math correctly, basically like 7 years total of experience.
5 years total. I got like my nutrition certification within my 5 years.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so you also said that like you want to express to people like the importance of health and nutrition. But before we started on the episode, you had explained to me like how you kind of like first fell in love with like this aspect of health and wellness. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm going to just go back to the beginning kind of before I was telling you.
Okay.
So when I was a kid growing up, I had really bad asthma. I had a lot of allergies, food allergies. I feel like I was allergic to the world. I'm still allergic to a lot of things. But basically, I was in and out the hospital. I had really bad asthma, all this, and growing up, I really felt restricted. So when I started playing sports, it was my way of freedom, and that's how I broke through like asthma and all these things as well.
Okay, got you.
So I was like, wow, okay, so like moving my body helps me. So from when I was a kid to high school was when I started playing sports. And it was just like literally just freedom for me. It didn't like it wasn't so I can lose weight. It was like it was generally just fun. I enjoyed it. And also like I was decent. I wasn't like the best at any sports. I was just decent.
Yeah.
But it was just like fun, and it was like a break from just like reality. And then senior year, I had to stop playing sports because I've had numerous concussions. So yeah, I've had like 5 concussions playing sports. So
what sports were you getting concussions in?
I was getting concussions in volleyball and basketball. Ooh. So yeah, I know. So it like took a toll mentally to hear that, knowing that like I couldn't play anymore, or like things would trigger migraines and so on and so forth. So when I moved, so I'm originally from California.
Oh, what part?
San Jose.
Is that Southern California?
Northern. It's the Bay
Northern.
Area. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My mom's from San Diego. And then,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then I have cousins who are from LA. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, no, Northern California, completely two different states. So, so I moved out here to attend Howard, and when I moved out here freshman year, food was really good. I was on a meal plan. I wasn't really like taking care of my health like that. There was not a lot of access to the gym on campus. So
there isn't.
And it wasn't like
unless you want to go work out with the boys.
And I didn't know how to get there. And for me, it's really hard for me to ask for help or like get there. Yeah. So like once someone tells me something and like I can't figure it out, I'm giving up. So that led to me gaining 25 pounds in a semester. I was at like my lowest mentally and physically. And then like when I went home for winter break, like none of my clothes fit. I just didn't recognize like who I was. So I was like, no, something has to change. So I started lifting, and I didn't know much about lifting, just here and there, because I used to lift like a little bit senior year of high school. And like I really just got back into it. And so I started doing my research and like learning, and then like started training my floor mates and like going like just inviting whoever I could, because I've seen how much it helped me, and I wanted to help others as well. So then sophomore year, I decided to get certified and become a personal trainer. I didn't think that this is what I wanted to do career-wise. I'm like, this is just because I'm helping people, I want to know what I'm doing to help. I was like, maybe this could be a side hustle. Like, who knows, you know? So I never really pursued it full on until like a year post-grad. So that's what kind of led me. That's a little bit about my background. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know any of that. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I resonate with like some of that a little bit. And I want to get back to that. The 2 points I really want to get back to is how you found like exercise and like moving your body as like a sense of freedom. Because a lot of people don't resonate with that. I want to get back to that. And then also just relating to the freshman 15 or freshman 25, like I gained so much weight my freshman year at college. And because like my clothes were like naturally stretchy, I didn't even like notice it until like until I started looking at pictures. I was like, whoa, whoa. So, but when we get back to that, before we get back to that, I kind of want to just open up with like, you know, some of the harmful things about this culture, and then of course like towards the end we'll move into like the more positive things of this culture. So like in today's world we have like so much information about diets and nutrition, but like there's also like a lot of confusion. So like what do you think are like the biggest, I want to say, challenges people face when trying to eat well, and how can we sift through all that noise to find like what works for our bodies?
The first question was, what are the biggest challenges, correct? This is a loaded question, but one thing I can say is that when I noticed that challenge is that when we go to these diets and when we look to nutrition, it's a way of like fixing something that's wrong about ourselves. Okay. And I think if we look at nutrition as a way of helping ourselves, it won't be this crash diet. I can't do this, and like I can't eat this, and I should only be eating salads and 2 calories, you know, rather than, hey, like, let me look to what's actually going to help my body and what's actually going to fuel it, rather than trying to like fix what's wrong with it. So I think when we come into nutrition with the mindset that first, like fixing our mindset when it comes to food, that would help a lot of the challenges that people face today when it comes to nutrition, because it becomes of what can I fuel my body with versus what what am I depriving my body of, if that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up mindset, because I was going to follow up and ask you just about, so I feel like right now, especially with social media, it's like so good and like so bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Because social media, what I like that it does is opens you up to like a lot of different conversations and perspectives. But then sometimes, like, if the perspective is so, I want to say, enticing, people can get carried away with it.
Yeah.
So like, speaking of like diet culture, so like there is a rise of what people are calling intuitive eating in response to diet culture. But like, somebody who doesn't necessarily have the best mindset around food, like, how do you feel like we can balance like this rise of intuitive eating with like, while also like not being super restrictive and like negative in terms of like how we eat?
Yeah, that's good. So some people, when it comes to intuitive eating, it's like listening to your body and like not like either like underfeeding it, overfeeding it, and so on and so forth. When it comes to, I would use my words carefully, because I know nutrition is also a very touchy subject too. So when it comes to intuitive eating, I think having a good education on what is a nutrients dense meal, or what things does the human body need to survive, like having the education when it comes to eating in general, then eating intuitively, I think that's like a prerequisite from eating intuitively.
Okay,
because
got you.
when it comes to eating intuitively, like it could be okay, like I'm hungry and I'm just gonna eat whatever I want.
That's
and
what the drawback is.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I can eat whatever I want, and whatever I'm eating is not really helping my body. Rather than, hey, I'm gonna educate myself what nutrients I need, like how many grams of protein I should be eating a day, or how many grams of carbs, and yada yada, and like not worrying about hitting those numbers, but having an idea of what that number even looks like, and what vitamins you need, and all these foods that like include those, and then intuitive eating from there.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's a good rule of thumb. Like thinking of like knowledge as the prerequisite, not necessarily knowledge being the end all be all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. Okay, so at the beginning of the episode, you mentioned kind of like how you got into this this realm of health and wellness, and you talked about how you gained like 25 pounds at Howard. And to be honest, there is no freshman 15 at Howard. There is a freshman 25. The food be too good. Like as a freshman, like once you like move up to like sophomore, junior level, then you're like, okay, the food's all right. But freshman year, the food is too good.
Yeah.
But you mentioned how like, you gained 25 pounds your first semester, you went home, nothing was fitting. And then like, that's kind of like motivated you to get back into the gym. With the conversation around like fat phobia, body image, all that stuff, was any of that motivation tied to like wanting to look a certain way?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Like it wasn't like I wasn't working out again to like feel that sense of freedom I did when I was a kid, right? I was working out to get this weight off. I don't like how I look. I'm trying to change how I look. And like it honestly, and then when I looked, like when I was lighter, it didn't go away. Like it wasn't like, okay, I feel good or I look good now, I lost the weight. It was like, no, like I still saw myself as like quote fat. Like I saw myself as big still, even though I lost the weight, like I still saw myself as that. It was when I had to like sit back and ask myself like, okay, why? And it got to the point like even going back, like why am I working out so hard? Like I used to work out like 5-6 days a week.
Me too.
Yeah, like
that was me.
Yeah, really?
Yes,
yeah.
It was like, but when I was doing it, like I wasn't seeing any results, and I was like eating well, and then that's the other thing. Like I know we didn't necessarily hit on it yet, but like the fat phobia, I would keep going to the doctors and telling them, hey, like these are the things that I'm having trouble with. Like for me personally, like my whole health and wellness journey in this realm, I struggle with the exercise part, not with the nutrition part. I'm pretty like good with nutrition.
Yeah.
And I don't have too many, I want to say, not even cravings, but too many like temptations when it comes to food. But I kept going to the doctor. I'm like, I'm not losing this weight. I'm literally working out 5 times a week for at least an hour. I'm eating X, Y, and Z. They just kept saying like, keep doing more. And then I finally got tested, hypothyroidism. So my thyroid was like not active at all.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's another conversation about insulin resistance, and I was learning about that. So like, I feel exactly what you're saying. Like, I was like, I'm doing all these things and I'm not seeing the thing. And sometimes, like, for anybody out there, sometimes it's not just about the food and the exercise. Sometimes you really got to go and get all of your levels checked so that you know everything is functioning in your body properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. No, that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue. So you said you still weren't feeling like you still weren't liking what you see even though you lost the weight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost the weight and I was just like, I still see like the girl who was working out before, like the girl who before, like my before, basically.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like I really had to sit down with myself and like, okay, like why am I going as hard as I am? Like it's okay to rest. Like,
yeah,
you know, it got to the point where like I would go on, like, not saying this is a bad thing because I had a goal and I was focused on it, right? So
yeah,
it did teach me discipline, so it wasn't a terrible thing. But it got to the point where like I'll go on vacation, I would search up like nearest gyms near me and like make sure like that was like I was going to the gym, right? And like it wasn't because it's more so like I had to work out to like keep the weight off and like I had to keep going as hard as I can to where like I was completely burnt out. So I had to ask myself like, why am I going so hard? And it was like literally because I'm trying to change myself rather than help myself. And so like once that like reality hit, I'm like, okay, whoa, like that was you know. So like before I go to the gym, I had to ask myself like, hey, like did I it got to the point where like that was my only thing. I wouldn't even eat properly. I would like not drink water. I would not do the basic things. I would just go to the gym because that was the way of making this weight go away. So I had to ask myself every time I go to the gym, hey, did you drink your water? Did you get enough rest? Are you doing this? Are you doing this because like you're moving your body because you want to or because you feel like you have to and like this is your way of like making like losing weight? So like if I find myself like answering like no to any of those questions, like I would take a break, like you know, or like just go on a walk or do something like light. But it took me like it wasn't in like 6 months after, it was like years later when I realized that, and it was like years and years after doing that. So like sometimes it's like this, we preach, oh, you just have to go hard and you have to go to this gym and you have to do all X, Y, and Z and like, you know, like, and when we preach that, it just becomes like that's where the road to burnout leads, and like that's where like there's no balance when it comes to this, and that's when it can become a burden, especially like when people don't have the motivation or people don't like, this is new to them too. So like when it comes to just like body image, when that's like your forefront goal, it can lead to burnout rather than, hey, like is this a way of like me helping myself or trying to change something that I don't like about myself? Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a good thing to point out, because I feel like a lot of people, especially influencers, you know, like the whole focus is image, and not every influencer. Like there's plenty of influencers out there who really do have the right mindset and the right intention when they make their content, but I do think like that is one of the ways that like people in this industry can like take advantage of other people. Like you want to look this way, especially like people who will sell you like a butt lift plan or like, you know, some things like it's the girl who has the butt like since birth, because that's in her genetics, trying to sell you a butt plan. You know what I'm saying? So I feel exactly what you're saying. So you're saying like the shift really, like it seems like your answer to every question, which isn't bad, is that like really to like get on the right page with this is just like a shift in mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like, but I feel like it's easier said than done. Like how do you feel like this shift in mindset is possible, like while still being on social media to a degree, or do you think there needs to be also a break in being on social media as well?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, it's possible with you being active on social media, but everything is beneficial in moderation, right? So like if you're constantly scrolling and if you're constantly comparing yourself and you're constantly comparing your journey to someone else's journey, maybe that's not beneficial for you, you know? But like if you're like, hey, like if you're using this as motivation, like, hey, if they can do it, like so can I. What's making them different than me, you know? So when it comes to that, like obviously, it's a mindset thing, but also like giving yourself a reality check of like why you're scrolling or why you're doing this or why do you like, what's your why behind like you even like aimlessly scrolling or even just going on social media.
the first rapid fire question was New Year's resolutions or small monthly goals. And you said small monthly goals.
Yeah.
Which I like, because I think once I started changing from New Year's resolutions to small monthly goals, I started achieving them.
Yeah.
So at the top of everybody's list, like the number one thing at the top of people's list, New Year's resolutions, is usually like exercise more, nutrition, stuff like that. So like, what are some strategies for creating a sustainable exercise routine that feels fulfilling and doesn't feel like a punishment?
Yeah. Well, first is like, what's your why?
Okay.
You got to know why you're doing this, why you're starting. Because if you don't have a why and you're 6 months down the line and you're like, why am I doing this? And you have no answer, you're more likely to stop.
Okay.
So know why you're starting it. Make your goals and your expectations of it a reality. Like if you're saying, hey, someone who's, let me say, never worked out a day in their life, hey, 2025 is my year. I'm working 6 days a week, and we're gonna work out 6 days a week, even though they have like a full-time job. Like a mom of 3.
Yeah.
Realistically, by month 1, that goal is probably not gonna stick. Rather than, hey, like, let me be realistic with my time and how much time I can give. Like, this is a priority to me. So let me give myself 3 days out the week, right? In which I'm strength training. The other 2 days, like, I'm going on walks with my kids, or like I'm like doing something that like involves like what, like, like what my lifestyle already is, but make it active.
Okay.
So I would say like know your why, be realistic with your goal and your time, I would say.
Okay.
And also like going back to the nutrition, like educate yourself on like what nutrient dense meals are. Like if you don't, like, talk to your doctor. There are a lot of like nutrition. There's a lot of like good things on social media, which is like the good thing with being in our generation now. Like there's YouTube and like there's Instagram, there's TikTok, but like obviously like don't believe everything that you see on social media, but like understand like what, like educate yourself on the
information's at your fingertips.
Exactly, right? So like educate yourself on like nutrient dense meals and like what is like what is like a realistic like meal plan for you, So I would say like don't go too hard, don't start like the year sprinting, because like you will burn out. Right. Be realistic with your goals, know your whys. That's what I would say.
That's really good advice. And you mentioned something about when you said being realistic. So as somebody who's done the whole go to the gym 6 days a week, go hard or go home type thing, sometimes I feel I'm in a stage right now where like I'm just, first of all, I have a knee injury. So that's been kind of like discouraging me throughout the year, because I had it in June, and it's just like the fact that it hasn't gone away. I finally went to the doctor and figured out like, like there's some like cartilage, and cartilage can't really be healed, but I'm gonna start doing PT. But as somebody who was like going hard and then kind of had to like really stop, and I had a goal this year, but I wasn't able to like necessarily achieve it just because I had to stop moving my body in the kind of aggressive way that I was moving it. And so like the 3 days of workout a week does not feel sufficient enough to me. I do Pilates once a week. And then I try to get into the gym and do like more body weight than like, what's it called? Heavy lifting. And then I try to make sure like I get a walk. I also try to make sure I get like close to 10,000 steps a day. I get maybe like 5 to 7. Yeah. But as somebody who had to go from like 6 days of working out to like 3 days of working out and feeling kind of like unfulfilled, like what is a good plan to like stick to for those 3 days? If 3 days is all you have, what is the best way to maximize that time?
Yeah, I would say if you have 3 days, I can relate to you too, because I was also in the gym like 5 days, 6 days a week, and with my job, because it's very like very taxing. Yeah, I had to change my workout split to 3, maybe 4 days a week. Yeah, and that was hard. So for those 3 days, I would say 3 like full body days, and like go all out for those days. Okay. And you can get results by working out 3 days a week. Okay. If you're disciplined in your diet and you're disciplined in your sleep and you're disciplined in your like your water intake and all the things, if you're doing the backhand work, it's sufficient. Okay. Even though like sometimes like we feel like it isn't because we're used to it, it's sufficient. Okay. So yeah, I would say 3 full body days, and like stick to like a certain number of exercises and really like progressive like overload. And like what that means is like either increase the amount of reps you're doing, increase the amount of sets. It could be increasing the weight gradually, but like if you're not trying to do the very like heavy lifting right now, like stick to those same exercises like week after week and see how much you progress over those and go all out, I would say.
And the 3 full body days, do you recommend like a break in between working out, or like let's say the only days I have to work out this week are Tuesday through Thursday?
Okay, so if you're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I would say either do like depending on what your goals are, I would say like maybe upper lower full.
Okay.
Rather than like full. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if you're working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 full body days would be ideal with like maybe cardio in between, like on a Tuesday and Thursday. Or like, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, you can do upper, lower, and then full. So just listening to your body too, like if you do a full body day on like a Tuesday and by Wednesday your body is shot, you're sore, you know, maybe it's okay to do cardio on that day, even though that's the only day that you have. Your body's going to need the recovery. So you want to listen to your body that way. Don't go all out just because you only have those 3 days. Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. Okay. So we spoke about, you know, having like achievable goals. I kind of want to talk about punishment.
Okay.
Punishment in the sense that, again, you know, it's so crazy that these are the 5 pillars of self-care, but I feel like, you know, self-care is supposed to nourish you. It's supposed to kind of like benefit you. And I feel like this realm of like self-care is easy to like punish yourself in.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you maintain a healthy balance between self-discipline and showing yourself compassion, especially when like things don't go as planned? I feel like you kind of just touched on this a little bit.
Yeah. I would even say like ask yourself questions. Like if you know, like, okay, like if your goal, let's just say this year was to hit the gym, let's say go back to the 3 days a week, and like, you know, you've had a very exhausting week. You worked like, I don't know, like 80 hours this week, you know, just to you
like
know,
a doctor.
Just to put it out there. You know, you worked a full workload and like, you know, you haven't been getting sleep, you haven't been doing all the things. Like, do you really think that third day is going to benefit you more than sleep is at that moment? Like, be realistic with yourself and ask yourself those questions, because you could go that third day and that could be a form of discipline, but like you're realistically, you're not going to be able to push yourself as hard because you're exhausted, you're dead tired, and you're not going to be able to perform in the way that you want to. So it's okay. Take a second, breathe, and go to sleep. And that's okay. And that's self-care, you know, versus
you hear that?
Yeah,
that's self-care.
That's self-care versus, you know, you're at the third day, you got a full night's rest, you had a pretty chill week, you know, you're in the car at the gym, and you don't feel like going, and there's like you're not even tired, you're just the feeling of that, and like, okay, you got to ask yourself, like, okay, like, am I just being lazy, or like, do I not feel like it, or like, what's holding me back, you know? So that's where discipline needs to come in, and that's where you need to get your butt up out the car and go to the gym. So like being honest with yourself, and also what helps is like with this is like having accountability partners too, whether it's like, you know, like, I mean, I'm obviously my client's accountability partner, right? So, but like accountability partners help me too. Like sometimes I just genuinely just don't feel like it. I'm being lazy. Like, you know, like I'm not perfect. There's days where I'm like, I just really just don't feel like doing this. But like, I'll work out with like a coworker, or like, you know, one of my friends, like, or take my cousin through a workout or something to like push me to go through. And like, that's the push I really needed, you know? So like having forms of accountability helps with that as well.
I like that you said that. And I feel like the biggest thing when I was like struggling with the gym was just like getting there. But once I'm there, even like I said, even if I'm in the parking lot, I'm gonna go in.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just the getting there. And like at my job, I work at a school part-time, but it's like a really nice school. And so like they have a lower middle school on one side of the street, a high school on the other side of the street. The high school has a full weight room. So I go there after work. I have my gym bag in the car. But sometimes, I mean literally across the street, like I would say the street is like two times the width of this living room. Sometimes I just do not make it over there.
Yeah.
But me and my coworkers had started going all together. And so then it started being like, speaking of accountability partners, then it was just like, damn, I'm in the gym every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired as hell, but I mean, like, shit, they going? Like, I might as well go too. So it's like, accountability partners really, really, really do help. But like now, like, this was last school year, but now this school year, they ain't really been to the gym.
Yeah.
So now I've been like trying to go to the gym on my own. And it's been much harder.
Yeah.
But I've still been going.
Exactly.
But like all those things that you've been saying, like accountability partners really, really do help.
Yeah.
Access really helps. And just like, you know, that discipline. And I'm glad you brought up discipline, because I last year my word for the year, my theme for the year was discipline. And I was like, if you like really think about it, like discipline is self-care.
Yeah.
Like you're really like, you're constantly putting in the work over and over and over and over again, so that you can see something down the line for yourself. And I was just like, if people can change their perspective to seeing discipline as self-care, then it won't seem like a punishment or a burden. It will actually seem like a reward. Like I'm rewarding myself with staying consistent. I'm rewarding myself with being disciplined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like random tangent, but I had a conversation with my client, and it was funny because it was like a Friday. I train her Friday, like mid-afternoon evenings. And like, you know, it's a Friday afternoon, evening. No one really wants to work out. Then you're done with your week, right? And she like texts me. She's like, you know, I'm not gonna come today. And like I was like, you know, it's fine. And then the next week I saw her. I was like, what happened? She's like, you know, I just needed the day off, self-care. I was like, girl, that is not self-care. I was like, and the thing is, I was like, okay, what'd you do? She's like, I went like, you know, like I went and got a massage, you know, like I went out to my favorite restaurant. I did all the things. And I'm like, that's great. But like you showing up is like a form of self-care too.
Right.
Like just cause like, you know, pampering yourself. And I feel like society does this thing of like, now, like, I'm not saying like she shouldn't have done that. But, like, she should pull up to the session, but like, it's okay. But like society preaches that like, okay, like, spend a lot of money on like skincare products and like do all this, and like that is what self-care is. But like self-care is also discipline. It's like telling yourself no sometimes. It's like, so sometimes it's not what we think it, like what society preaches it to be. So
no, I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly why my theme this season is self-care. Because I'm a huge fan of self-care. But I think with social media, with our current climate, it's been warped into something a little more superficial than like what it actually is. So you got people, you know, cutting people off in the name of self-care. But one of the pillars of self-care is community. You got people, you know, skipping, I don't know, like one of the people like prioritizing like, oh, I'm gonna sleep in today. I'm not gonna do anything today. I mean, yes, rest, but I mean, like, you know, you're sleeping in, you miss church. Meditation, spiritual practice is a pillar of self-care. You know what I'm saying? So like I just like, I have this theme for the season, this idea of the season to like kind of like take out the superficialness of self-care and bring back like the real like holistic benefits of that. But like speaking of holistic benefits, one thing I'm a big proponent of is like holistic medicine and holistic practices. I'm not like against Western medicine or medicine in general. I think it has its place, but in the fitness, nutrition, wellness, I kind of see you guys more as like holistic practitioners than like
wow, thanks.
Than like medicinal practitioners, because you guys, you know, I don't think you guys rely like on like a lot of times people want to see results and they go to a doctor to have surgery. To Ozempic is a huge thing right now, and all it is insulin resistance, and you just got to educate yourself on insulin resistance and eat foods that you know don't promote that. But my question to you is, what role or purpose do you see maybe like Western medicine playing in this industry, and do you think like the holistic approach is better for you, for your clients, for kind of people's goals in this industry? Like, what is like your take on that?
I definitely think that this is my opinion, that I think it's very much like a fad now, or like a trend, or like this is something that like especially with like things like Ozempic and stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for it to be your first source or first thing you go to, maybe let's ask yourself why. Let's reel that back in. There are like I do think it's a good thing, you know, if
Yeah.
there are people that are really, really struggling to lose weight and like in it, like really struggling, you know, like it can help, it can be an assistance, but like this has to be in addition to what you're already doing. So I would say, because like the thing about holistic medicine is like it's fueling your body with the things that you need, like minerals, vitamins, like all these things that can actually heal your body and that can actually promote you to get the goals that you want.
Yeah.
And then the things that like you know, like Western medicine, all these things, like you still have to do the work. And I think that's what people don't see is like, okay, if I can just get to where I need to be, the work might not be as hard to do, you know? And I think when you go into it, going back to like the mindset, when you go into it with that mindset, like that's, you can get in the weight back. And like, it's possible to get back to where you started because you haven't built up that discipline in like, in your diet and eating the right things and all the things that actually could help you get to your goals a lot. I would say a lot more like steadier than like Western medicine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's your mindset behind it. Like, are you doing this because like you've actually exhausted all your options and you've tried all the things and this is like, this actually could help you get to your weight loss goals, or like even weight gain goals too. So get to your goals, or is this a quick fix, or is this like the easy way out and that's why you're doing it? So like I would say like it goes back to like the whys, but I do think it is like abused in like this day and age now. Like I feel like there's a lot more like I feel like now like doctors, like it's easier to get it from doctors as well, which is like honestly very heartbreaking, because like even going back to like you go to the doctor and like you say like, okay, I've tried all the things, even if you haven't, you can tell them like a complete lie and they can just prescribe you a medicine. And like, and that like it's heartbreaking because like it's not even just, you're not seeing your like, you're like, people are not even seeing themselves as like a way of like helping themselves now. It's like a way of trying to fix themselves, you know what I mean? So yeah,
it is heartbreaking because it's like there's transparency within the medical industry coming out like recently just about how little doctors know actually about nutrition, and how they're not taught to prioritize that in school. They're taught to prioritize like medicine, and making pharmaceutical companies richer, and they get some money on the back end and keeping people in hospitals and stuff like that. So it is kind of heartbreaking, and that's why like I really wanted to talk about it, because I do want people who watch this to think about taking holistic approaches to things, and to know that like you really can heal your body with, God's given us everything on this earth to heal our body. Like, of course, I'm not, crapping on doctors or anything like that. I think same way God has given us everything on this earth, like nutrients wise, food wise, all this stuff, like doctors definitely absolutely serve a purpose. Like I would never be against Western medicine, but just, making sure people understand they have more options than just what they see, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think there needs to be more push towards like what like nutrition even looks like when like people are going to doctor's appointments, or like like try this and like let's check back in, rather it not be like okay sure, or like this is like the first option, you know what I mean? So I do agree with that as well. Like I love my doctors, like the good ones are really good too.
Yes,
so
exactly.
But I think it also like going back to that, like some people are like their why behind like them even becoming a doctor like is to like help people, like and like sometimes like people aren't like blessed with the best doctors. Sometimes it's just writing a prescription and that's it, like so there is a very high demand for doctors too, so like I do like empathize with them as well. So I get it, sometimes like you can't give that complete care and attention to that one person because you're dealing with 100 other patients, and sometimes it's just like, sometimes it is easier to like write a prescription or like just like to say a sentence or two, and like, but like I really feel like people really need the help and education when it comes to nutrition and like what that looks like, and like that they can do it, like that it is for everybody. It's not like a 1% of the population that should be into fitness and wellness and all this. It should be everybody. Like how can that relate to the average person? So
I think I'd like to see more collaboration. Like in what you were just saying, actually, I'm thinking like what I would like to see more of is more collaboration between like doctors and nutritional coaches, personal trainers, stuff like that. I feel like if the collaboration is there, then it could lessen the burden of the doctor. Yeah, the doctor has to see so many people, but like if a personal trainer also worked in a medical office as well as a nutritional coach, then it could be much easier to be like, hey, these are the problems that I'm seeing. You know, you wouldn't outright say, like, I don't have the time to give you the proper care today. You could just say, like, these are the problems that I'm seeing. I'm going to refer you to this expert in this area, and the nutritional coach is down the hall. Or the nutritional coach is like, okay, I see these things that we need changing your diet. I'm also seeing a lack of, you know, physical activity. I'm going to refer you to the personal trainer down the hall. I think this is like ambitious, but shifting towards that in terms of what a new age of medicine and a new age of health and wellness could look like for us. I think ultimate collaboration is like what we're missing, to be honest.
Yeah. And you know, like there are dietitians in doctors' offices too, which like is definitely a higher level than a nutrition coach. But I think when like I want to see more of like definitely the referral to like dietitians and to whatever they already have in house. Yeah. But definitely like not even just like going to a PT when you're injured, but like going to a personal trainer as well.
That's what I was thinking, because I'm like, my knee is hurting so bad, and it's like it's hurting bad when I'm sitting. Like that's really the problem. Yeah. But like it even took me like, it's happening in June. It took me till October to get an MRI for it. Yeah. And like I'm telling them, I'm like, I know my body. I'm like, this is not going away. I cannot, like, the only exercise I could do was Pilates and like deep water, because like putting any type of weight on it. And I was also working at a summer camp all summer, so I'm already putting a lot of weight on it, like working with these kids, chasing these kids around camp, you know. So I really needed the assistance, and just like I had to like really advocate for myself, to be honest. And that's another thing too, like really put into people's heads, like, you know, you have to be aggressive about your own life. Like nobody can be more aggressive about it than you. Yeah, it's not. For sure. You know what I mean? Like same thing what you said, like, you know, you saw something you didn't like and you like went hard on it to like change it. Yeah. I don't think everybody has necessarily that aggressiveness. Yeah. So
that's true. And it's okay if you don't have that aggressiveness, but know that like it's not an impossible thing for you. Like, again, you don't have to hit the ground running. Like you can hit the ground walking. You know, that's okay. And so like with holding someone's hand, and that's okay too. So like everyone's journey and like starts different, but like it all like goes back to your mindset of like, hey, like, do you feel like this is even for you? Do you even think that like that's a possibility for you? Because some people know it's not. Like, I never worked out a day in my life. Working out is not for me. Like, you know, like the gym is not for me. I don't belong in the gym. Like, there's so many different things that, like, when you have that mindset before even going into it, like, why would you even think that that's something you could change about yourself? You know what I mean? Or, like, change, like, not even just about yourself, but, like, why is that not something, like, that you see for yourself, if that makes sense? Yeah.
It does make sense. Earlier, you talked about exercise being, like, freedom for you. For people who don't feel like it's freedom, like, you're probably going to go back to mindset, which is good.
No, but maybe I won't.
Okay. What do you think, like, how do I want to ask this? I just think it's, I know too many people who dread working out. Yeah. Whether it's because they feel like they don't see the results right away, whether it's because being in the gym makes them uncomfortable. Being in the gym makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. That's why I work out at the gym at my job. Yeah. Because normally when I'm in there, it's just me. But like going to a gym, it's because of the crowd of people. Sometimes it's too many people. And even if I go at different times of day, like let's say I go at 12 noon, I'm like, why are y'all all here? As I'm in here as well. Or even just like the men, like sometimes it's not even like creepiness. Sometimes it's like being in a place where other people may feel like you don't belong. Yeah. And kind of like feeling that energy. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you started out your journey with like sports. So for anybody who like doesn't want to, like absolutely hates like the traditional like working out routine of going to the gym, what are some other things you feel like you could suggest to them that could get them get them going in the right path without having to utilize the gym?
Yeah. Start by walking.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you have never moved a day in your life and you walk just your day to day, like, start with just moving your body. You know, like, get your body used to that.
Yeah.
And also, like, you know, like, if you don't, like, if you ask yourself, like, why you don't like the gym, is it because, like, you don't know what you're doing in the gym? Or is it because, like, it's the actual gym itself? Or, like, ask yourself, like, what about the gym, like, don't you like? You know, if it's, like, you don't know what you're doing, maybe hire a coach for a little bit, just so, like, you know what you're doing, you're understanding what you're doing, and why it's beneficial for you, you know? If it's the gym, if the actual gym, find a gym you like going to, you know, like, you know, maybe, like, you know, Planet Fitness is cheap, but sometimes it can get a little rough in there depending on which one you go to, you know? So, like, maybe, like, spend a couple of, like, a couple more dollars and, like, maybe invest into a better gym that you enjoy going to, that, like, you know, that, like, you're gonna have access to the equipment that you want, you know, like, or, like, it's a little bit of an investment, but, like, it's something that you're gonna get your return investment in, you know? And is it, like, you don't like going alone, find a partner, you know? Like, if you find your friend and, like, they also are on a similar path, like, more than likely you guys can push each other. So, like, you know, like it's like asking yourself, like, what about it, and asking yourself, like, real questions about what about the gym, or, like, what about fitness don't you like. Start really small and, like, answer those questions, you know? So, like, I would even say, like, even start by walking 3 times a week for 30 minutes, you know? Like, like, if you can commit, if you can stick to that, that's discipline, you know? But, like, you know, like, but if your goals are, you know, strength training, like, you gotta go to the gym. Like, it's something that you should do. But ask yourself, like, those questions.
Got you.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. I like that you talked about mindset so much, because, like, the kind of way I want to wrap it up is just about, like, the connection between mental health and physical health. I think a lot of people sometimes feel like they have to sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah.
What do you what am I going to say? How do you, like, integrate both mental and physical health into your self-care routine? And, like, why is the balance important for, like, long-term well-being?
Yeah. So, like, going back to, like, my journey, like, like, I was working out 5 to 6 days a week, but that, like, to help my mental health, right? Like, quote, but it wasn't, you know, like, I was working out for survival, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I would say, like, to how I would even make them relate is, like, am I, like, journaling, you know? Am I taking time to rest? Am I, like, doing all the things that, like, I need to do outside of just fitness and, like, the gym? Like, even going on walks, you know, like, something to just, like, be in tune with, like, my body and, like, nature, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be just the gym, and that's mental, like, taking care of your mental health as well, but, like, other things as well, like spending time with loved ones, spending time with family, in addition to all these things. How fitness kind of correlates with that is, like, I can run around with my cousins now, pick them up, like, you know, like, and I'll be perfectly fine. Like, you know, like, I may not be able to move as fast as I was once, but I can still do that. And, you know, like I don't, my body, like, your body shouldn't be a limiting factor on what you can and can't do, because you can change that, you know? So that also has an effect on your physical health or your mental health. Because, like, if you know, like, oh, like, I can't do that, like, mentally that can hinder you from, like, So, like, hey, like, or I'm, like, if you're, like, your brain also releases endorphins, too, when you're working out. So, also, like, that's, like, a mood booster that, like, keeps you going and all these things. So, like, that also helps with your mental health, but, like, all these other things factor in it as well. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, that was all the questions that I had.
Yeah.
But one more thing, like, if you could leave the audience or the viewers with anything, any nugget of advice, it doesn't even have to be about health and wellness. It can be about anything. What is one thing that you would really just want to communicate?
I'll say about fitness, like, it is for you. It is for everybody. Like, don't feel like it's not for you and, like, working out isn't for you at all. Like, it is for everybody. Like, we're blessed to have bodies, and, like, our jobs are, like, just to steward the bodies that we are blessed with, and, like, to, like, really just, like, do the best we can with it while we're here on earth. So that's what I would say.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on this episode with me. This is our, like, first time ever meeting.
Yeah.
And we both went to Howard. This is crazy.
I know, it's wild.
The crazy thing about it is, like, because I went during the pandemic, I meet so many more people from either my class or
Yeah.
under me or right above me now that I've graduated than I
Mhm.
ever met in school.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
for
just,
sure. I know.
but it's so good to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
And I'm excited, like, you know, just for your journey. You know, you said you got your certification. You said it's not something that you thought was going to be a career, but it seems like you are changing lives in the process. So super proud of you about that. I'm excited for your vacation. I'm excited when anybody goes on vacation. In the name of self-care, amen.
Yeah, amen.
And so yeah, like, you know, you never know. I might be reaching out to you in the future
for
to
sure.
like
That'd be fun.
get back on track.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. So yeah, so oh, actually plug yourself. Like, where can we find you? Where can we contact you? All that good stuff.
Yeah. My Instagram and TikTok handles are AbbyFitness with 2 underscores right after. I'm on Facebook. If you find me, I'm Abby Wildamlak. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much for tuning into the Check-In podcast. I hope you learned something new about health and wellness, but most importantly, self-care on this episode. As I've told you guys before, this entire season is about self-care. So there's plenty of nuggets to be dropped throughout the season and more episodes to come. If you like this episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also, don't gatekeep. Share this with your friends, share this with your family, anybody you know that might benefit from this episode. As always, lead with light and lead with love. Abby, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone else, peace out.